Happy Mother's Day to all of you beautiful mothers out there. Go out, do something special for yourself, or not. Take it easy, and which will be something special for yourself. And now I want to say, really sorry that it's been a week and a half since I put out a video. I have had major technical issues that I think I've finally straightened out. So hopefully this goes out today. I'm praying it goes out today. And I will get back on track after this. Okay, now I've just finished planting this row, everything except for the last cattle panel at the end. I don't have time to edit that and get it out today, so that will be on my next video. Now, I do talk in this video about planting loofahs, which I planted right here at the beginning of the row. A loofah is a scrub, you probably know what it is, but a loofah is the scrubbing pad, I guess you would call it. A lot of people think that they're manufactured. Some people think that they're harvested from the ocean. I've heard many things about it. No, you grow them. And they grow just like they look like a cucumber, really big cucumber. Grow them until they look dead, nice and brown. And then you pick them, dry them out, peel them, and then shake the seeds out. And then they're ready to use. Rinse them out, of course. So this is what a loofah is. This one's from last year. I'll show you the ones from this year when they're ripe. Okay, welcome back. There are a ton of blooms on my strawberries. I don't think I've ever seen this many. I did buy some June bearing. These are ever-bearing, so they will bear strawberries throughout the summer, throughout the season. June bearing will just have one huge production right around June. So that's more for canning and, making jams and things like that. This is more for just enjoying. Last year we only got like 1 or 2 strawberries a day. I have a feeling we're gonna get a lot more this year. The entire bed looks like this. I did buy everbearing so that we could have a bigger, bumper crop. I didn't expect it, and they sent them too soon, so we had to keep the roots damp. And I did that, but then by the time we planted them, we planted them a little bit too early, and I think they've frosted as well as they've been sitting, just bare root for too long. So they are replacing them. So we should get those soon. I'll be planting them a little bit too late, so we'll be looking for those next year. Okay, the definition of gardening is finding out what went wrong, how it went wrong, and how to fix it. So, and every year there's something new. Last year had something eating the strawberries, birds and bugs. And once I fixed the problem with the birds, then I got the bugs. So if you look, I've got netting here and hoops. I put the netting over the hoops, and that keeps the birds out once the strawberries start ripening. And when I pulled the netting up this year, I found another problem. So let me show you. This bed is 24 feet long. Anytime you have something that long, you need to break it up. You can see I have a board across. I have that across every 8 feet. You need to do that every 6 or 8 feet. Otherwise the sides will just fall out on you. One thing you can see right here, this board has come out. It's sticking out about an inch, a couple inches. And the dirt is just pushing it out. Down here, there's a hole in the dirt. It all is just falling through. And that is simply because it came loose down here. So I need to clear out this dirt. Okay, I got it out of there as far back as I could back here. So yeah, now it'll just push in. What I'm going to do, I have another 2x6 here. It's just a scrap. I'm just gonna scab that to the outside and just screw it in place. Looks like I might have another one I need to do that too as well. It's gonna happen, just one of those things. Lost my screws. Oh, here they are. Now it's best to use stainless steel screws or deck screws, which are stainless steel. Something coated, anything like that. don't use drywall screws. They'll just rust on you in no time. Okay, I'm thinking this is happening because this is screwed into the end of this cross piece. I think those screws are just pulling right out. This screwing into the side of the board, I think that's going to hold a lot better. So these two scabs should work. Okay, that should hold. We'll see. If it doesn't hold, you'll find out in a different episode. That's it for that. Check this out. That is just insane. The number of blooms. Last year we had probably 1 or 2 strawberries a day. This year I think we're going to have a lot more. But look at all the blooms on this. So go back down here. Got to move slow. Oh, another thing I want to point out. The asparagus. Now we let the asparagus go because it draws nutrients from the sun down into the roots of the ones that are still growing that haven't broken the surface yet. So those will cut and eat. But we are letting some of them go just to help the other ones, help the shorter ones grow. But if you look, the smaller ones, I can't quite reach it. Smaller ones are not that small. This thing is huge. Some of them are a little woody, so we have to pick and choose. But we already have some strawberries coming in. A few. Okay, I'm sorry. It was just way too windy. I have to do a voiceover on this. So what you want to do is when you get the strawberry plants in, they are bare root strawberries, so they won't even look like a plant. So they will typically come with the roots wrapped in like shredded newspaper or something to keep them damp. Do keep them moist, and doing that you can keep them for up to a week before planting. Don't keep them too long. They did send me some too early. I kept them moist and they just didn't survive. The company did replace them and they were great. So now I am transplanting the new ones. So the way to plant those is go nice and deep, about the depth of the roots, so a good 4 to 6 inches, because you want the root to grow down, straight down, pretty much straight down. And now grab some fertilizer, mix it in with the soil in the hole that you just dug. Mix it in nice and good. That way the roots don't sit directly on the fertilizer and potentially burn them. Then make a mound. You don't want the roots to go straight down like one root. You want them to spread out but go down. So make a mound inside the hole. Spread the roots down over that mound and then cover them up. When you cover them, make sure you leave the base of the crown exposed. It will almost look like you have a couple roots showing. That is not a bad thing. That is what you want. The water I soaked the roots, the strawberry roots in, is called reverse osmosis, or RO. I only did that in order to use nice clean water. We also have water hauled in to water the garden. We're on a shared well. I don't like to use all of their water. That's what this nice big thing is behind us, behind me. So now for the fermentation. Once again, the wind was pretty strong, so I'll just tell you about our fermentation station. Just take a bunch of weeds, grass clippings, whatever you have around, even stuff out of the garden, throw it in here, fill the barrel full of water, and just let it sit. Once it really starts to stink, then it's ready to go. Now, you can see that I'm trying to keep the solids out of the pan. The solids are actually a really good thing. They just clog the head of the watering pail, and that's the only reason. Otherwise, the solids are very good for the plants. So just like with any type of fertilizer, you do want to dilute this. So fill the watering can about half full, maybe a little bit less, and then top it off with water. So now I have, by the way, that water smells really good. If what you make in a barrel stinks really bad, it means you're doing it right. And then I went through, I used 2 buckets of water on the plants just now. Whoops. So 2 watering pails of the fermentation and water mix, then sprinkled it with fertilizer, trying to avoid the leaves, but once you finish, do give them a good soaking with, do spray them, just to try to keep or get the fertilizer off the leaves to keep them from burning. Okay, and that's it for now. All right, hopefully you can hear me. It's been nice and calm, well, for the last couple hours. Now the wind's picking up a little bit. Right now we're just cleaning up the garden, getting it ready to plant. A little bit, we've had a lot going on lately, so a little bit behind on that, but we're getting going now. What I'm going to do is lay down some mushroom compost fertilizer, then mushroom compost. Then I'll put the soaker hoses in, and then right now, first thing, I'm going to plant some loofahs first. This first 3 feet will be loofahs. Then I think we're going to do some melons and not sure what else on down. But we want some, viney things growing up over the hoops. We like having a nice little tunnel through the garden. I'm going to start with fertilizer. Just sprinkle that on, then probably about 1 inch of mushroom compost that we just bought at a garden center. So I'll get started on that. All right, next I'm going to lay the hose down. I've got a soaker hose that I use. I found out that a drip line, it seems to use a lot more water. So your plants many times get too much water, whereas it's really spotted. You have to be very specific on where you put the lines or the heads. Whereas with this, I'm just going to run it all the way down and all the way back, just a big loop around each side. And that will soak the entire ground so that the entire row gets wet, gets all the benefits, and it uses less water. Hey folks, we're out here getting ready to plant cherry trees. They need to cross-pollinate. I used an auger to drill 3 holes. The reason for 3 holes is we are putting 2 holes here for the trees and then 1 hole here. This one is just going to be to catch everything we want to put in it to fertilize the trees. That way it will force the roots to grow over to it to make nice healthy roots, if that makes sense. So what we're starting with is the water out of the barrel that I showed you. I've been pulling water out of there to plant certain things. Now what I'm doing is pulling the actual weeds themselves out. I'm going to use this to fill the hole. So that's going in that hole right there. And then the trees are going on either side of it. The auger goes down about 2 feet. Is that 2 feet? Yeah. And when you pull it out, a lot of dirt does fall back into it. I'm not really concerned about the holes that the trees are going into, but this one I want to make it as deep as possible. So I'm going to get all that loose dirt out before I start filling it. If you could smell this, you wouldn't touch it either. I'm gonna use some fingers. Oh yeah. That's it. Let's plant some trees. Okay, graft is a stronger, hardier rootstock that the tree itself is grafted to. So the graft itself should be about 2 or 3 inches above the ground. So not much above the roots in this case. A lot of the nice fermented, good smelling fermented water into the hole already. It's already absorbed in. Once you plant it, then you want to just give it plenty of water. Okay, so just pat it down. Just keep an eye on it, and you know, make sure you add more dirt if this settles in too much. So it should be 2 to 3 inches above the ground. So this first to second knuckle is about 1 inch. Okay, that's the first one. Okay, here's a hack for you. T-posts are great, hold nice and firm. Really hard to pull out. Easy to drive with a proper driver, but once you get them in, really hard to pull out. If you ever need to move one, I would use a shovel to try to dig it out. But one thing you can do, lean your driver up against the post, put it under one of these little bumps, lean it back, and then pull it to you. Get it out a little ways and move down to the next bump. Then it'll ratchet right out. Just to hold it straight. And I'll allow a little slack here so that the tree can grow. And always make sure you tie a knot in the end of the string, otherwise it'll just fray. What I'm going to do now is just tie this to the string. That way I don't have string pulling in different directions, and then it still will be choking it. So instead of that, I'm just going to tie this loosely to the string. I say loosely, what you're trying to do is keep it from just blowing over and snapping off, but you do want it to move some in the wind, and that'll strengthen the trunk. So I have to do the recap inside. That wind just wouldn't stop. So it's not bad out there, it's just bad enough that it affects the microphone. So let's see, the recap is we amended the soil, put fertilizer on it, mushroom compost, and then ran the water lines for it in order to plant loofah seed. The other thing we did was planted 3 trees with 2 cherries and 1 peach. And that's it. Wow, sounds like I did 5 minutes worth of work today. So anyway, all done for today. Now I gotta get going, gotta show a couple of houses. So, all right folks, until next time, don't forget, subscribe and hit that thumbs up button.